Hello everyone, myself Ayush and welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we are going to take a look after different mathematical operations that you can perform in JavaScript to solve different complex problems. So let's start with the most basic thing, which is basic operations. Plus, minus, multiply as well as divide, that you all know. It's a primary mathematical knowledge. So let's start. Let's say let a equal to 2. In the previous video, I've told you about how to create variables with some data type values. So let's say let a equal to 2, let b equal to 3. And I'm going to save it all, and let's say let c equal to a plus b. Now what I'm doing is I'm using the plus sign, which is an operator, a mathematical operator, to add these values a and b. Whenever you write the name of any variable, it uses the value of that variable, like 2 plus the value of b, like I have written b, so it's using 3, so 2 plus is 5, so it's going to store that 5, the value 5, in the variable c. And now what I can do is I can simply print the value c. So if I run this program, you can see the output is 5. So this is how you use plus. Now similarly you can use minus as well. Okay, let me just copy paste the entire thing. So I'm going to let it be like a equal to 2 and b equal to 3 and c equal to a plus b, c2 equal to a plus b. So I'm going to change it a plus b to a minus b, and similarly here. Now for multiplication, a lot of you might do this at beginning, like you can use like a small x. You do in mathematics, right? A small x for multiplication. But in programming we use shift plus 8, which is asterisk for multiplication. For division you can use backslash, that's for division. Now similarly I can even change it like here, console log c2, c3, c4. So this is how we can, we can use different mathematical operations on different numbers. Like you can even have two, like I'm using 2 variables, but you can even use 3 or 4 variables. If I run this, you can see like 5 minus 1, which is like 2 minus 3 is minus 1. 2 into 3 is 6, and when you divide like 2 by 3 is 0.666. So that's a division. Now after all of that, let's take a look after the math object in JavaScript. The math object is an object which is containing a lot of different mathematical operations that you can use to solve complex problems. So let's take an example. Let's say let a equal to 64. Now I want to calculate the square root of 64. So what I can do is I can use math.sqrt. So basically math.sqrt is a function that you can use to calculate the square root of any number. So let's say math.square root, and I'm going to use you need to apply the brackets for using the function, then pass parameter. Let's say the a is the number that we want. So you can see it is the output, like the square root of 64 is 8, so it's printing 8. Similarly, the math library is having a lot of functions. You can even calculate logarithm of any number, let's say log. So at default what happens that when you use a log function in math object, it returns the natural logarithm with the base of e of a number. Okay, so it takes a base e and calculates the logarithm or the natural logarithm of a number. So if I calculate for 64, it's going to give some random decimal values, I guess. So yeah, 4.1588 something. And if I use like let a equal to math.e, so basically the natural logarithm of the value e is obviously 1, so it's going to print 1. And you might be thinking like only base e. As standard calculations we use 10 as well, like log 10. You can write here log 10, so it's going to use the base 10 for logarithm. So let's use a equal to 10. It's going to print 1, I guess so, yes. If I use 100, it's going to print 2, because 10 squared is 100, so it's printing 2. You can even use 2 as a base. 2 is also used in most of the calculations. So if I do it like that, 6.64, and if I use like 128, it's going to print something like 7. So logarithm can be done using the math object. After that, there are trigonometric functions like sine, cos, then there is a tan, cosine, all of that. So I can use math.sine function and then pass a value of any number. Let's say a equal to 128, so it's going to give some random decimal values like 0.721 something. And if I set it to 0, let's say I take it as 0, and then run this thing here, so you can see like sine of 0 is 0, so it's printing 0. So you can even use cos here in place of sine. You can use cos, so it's going to print the respective value as well here. If I run this, it's going to print 1, like cos 0 degrees is just 1. So this is how you can use trigonometric functions by using the math object. Similarly, there are some functions for rounding off the value. Like in some cases this happen, you are in the need of rounding off a number. So let's say you're having let a equal to 3.5. So in math object, basically there are 3 functions that you can use for the rounding off or taking the integer out of the number. So for that purpose, there are three functions. First function is math.round. Basically, it's going to use the math.round function to simply round off the value. Then after that, there is the math.floor function, which is most widely used for just taking out the integer value. And TIUNC is also a function which is also used for taking out the integer value, but they are both of the same use, but floor is most widely used. Round is a kind of different. It's going to round off the value. Now what's the difference? Basically floor is going to return here in this case 3, but round is going to return 4. The reason is, like, if the decimal place is having the value which is more than 0.5, it's going to round off to the next integer. But if it's less than 0.5, now it's going to round off to the previous integer. So you can see 3.15, so it's going to round off to 4 because the value is like 0.5 or more than 0.5, so it's going to round off to 4. So let's run this. If I run this, now you can see the first is 4, like math around a 3.5, so 0.5 is not equal or greater. It can be greater, but in this case it's equal, so it's rounding to 4. After that there is floor and rank, same thing, 3 and 3 is going to take the integer part out of the number 3.5, that's 3. So this is how you can use this to round off. Now what's the use of math.random function? So let's say random number, you make a variable random number is equal to math.random. Now basically this math.random function generates a pseudo random number between 0 and 1. What's the meaning of pseudo random number? Basically it's going to be a decimal value between the value 0 and 1. So if I run this, you can see, like, okay, let's print it because I have not printed anything. Let's say random number. Now it's going to print the pseudo random number. Every time it's going to be different, like 0.509. Now it's going to be 307, 408, 225. So it's going to generate a random number every time. Now how you can generate a random number? Well, let's say from 1 to 10 or 100 or 1000. For that purpose, what you can do is you can multiply this number, let's say, by 100. So you want a value between 1 and 100, you can generate it by using random number into 100. So if I run this, okay, let's save this first. Okay, now let's run this. So you can see now you can see, like, it's like 15.60024. Let's clear the terminal for a moment, and now let's run it again. So you can see like 45.9033. so it's basically between 1 and 100. Now if you want, like, only the integer value, what you can do is you can use a math.floor function here to take the integer value. You can see I'm generating a random number. Let's say now it's 39, 5, 52, 52, again 52. It can be same in some cases, then 29, then 67. So every time it's generating a random number. So what I want to state by using this example is you can use different functions of math library, or math object, to solve some simple problems as well and some complex problem as well. And there are a lot of instances where we use mathematics for designing part, for functioning properly, for making a system that functions properly as per the user needs. So yeah, that's all for today's video. Meet in the next video. Till then, see you.